APLD remains within the range of 1542 and 1319, closing around 1420. So stock is broken out of some pretty major resistance, and we continue to rally up as sellers try to find their move. We see the most recent price action was a little bit of back and forth, with buyers not letting these sellers get that continued movement down after kind of rejecting off that 1542 level, right where we kind of hit off last time, guys, that being the high. Hit right around that level, and we do reject, but we see a smaller pullback. So if the buyers can really step in here, guys, we could be seeing another retest, and then possibly getting above that and retesting the all-time high area. All right, guys, so on this analysis on the weekly time frame, we see that there has been a lot of increased volume and buyer presence here, guys, as volume really increases on this movement here. We don't see a ton of volume seek into the stock up until that recent times, and we see the volatility really picks up. If we look back here, guys, the stock really wasn't doing too much at all. Get a bit of volatile price action, kind of find this little ascending support here, get moved all the way up to a high of around that 1150-ish level, and we return right back down to the floor here. Kind of chop around a bit, a little bit of back and forth. That $7 psychological level being a little bit of resistance there, and we move above that. Get to this descending channel here, hit the floor, find some very strong ascending support, and we break above that $7 level, that being the stubborn resistance, and that leads to a very nice move, hitting all-time highs. And more recently, they signed a $7 billion lease with CoreWeave, and the company's cloud services revenue is up around 500% year over year. So very good stuff and good news coming in with the stock, guys. The most recent Q4 revenue was around 38 million. That's up 41% year over year. So nice to see that we get that rally and continuation, right? Seeing that nice movement up, smaller pullback, and now retesting that high. Considerable amount of selling pressure there, which is to be expected, right after we really reject quite hard there the first time, but definitely looking nice to get a possible retest and break. Bit overextended after that big movement up, but it's nice to see a smaller pullback and then a retest of that zone. So weekly remains bullish, and we do like the fundamentals that are going into APLD currently. All right, guys, on the daily chart, so we see that it's setting support a bit better, right? We got into that descending range after hitting around that $11 level. That's around the top of this descending channel here. We did try to prematurely break it, so we did see something like this, which happens in certain ranges like this, right? Get into this descending range here. Lots of back and forth, right? Buyers push to the ceiling, sellers push to the floor, and we see a premature break. So it's a textbook fake out. Very nice price action all the way to that 1251, but we see a ton of selling pressure there. And instead of using this resistance as support, we flush right back under it and towards the middle of that area, showing that buyers were not ready for a continued movement out. They weren't strong enough and didn't have enough buyer presence or enough volume to really push themselves out and hold above the zone. So what happens is we get back within the zone, we trend to the floor, that floor being around that 330 level, and we find some extremely strong support, guys. So you see that this ascending support holds up very well. We find the support level, and we do not let sellers push us under even once, right? You see a small wick there. Really no times here up until recent times where we get a full movement under this kind of support. So it really holds up here, guys, and that leads us to a break of this descending range. Instead of these volatile movements up and down, we see a very nice healthy ascending movement. Definitely a good indicator for a clean break, and that's exactly what we get. We get a wide green strong body bar. We see a obvious shift in momentum. Somebody has to win. We meet back up with this important resistance, and now this newfound support level that is held up very nicely and really showing that buyers are ready to push this thing higher and reach those all-time high levels. So we get above that $7 level, that being quite a annoying resistance in the past. If we look real quick, guys, we see that that's a level where, it's hard for price to hold over that. We see that resistance right here, kind of knocking it down, try to get above it, gap down, flush lower. It's just been a tough one to hold above, right? We used it as support in this instance here, got right back under it. But overall, $7 has been an important point for the stock. So you see that we get over it. Sellers try to make their movement down as they find the opportunity. And first day we close on that $7 level, you see that very extreme gap up and continuation, right? The stock having good fundamentals, and it shows that we blow past all the way to that 1542. And now we formed some sort of a cup, sloppy cup and handle, you could say, is what's kind of forming here. We see that obvious touch of 1542, and we see kind of a cup motion, and we get that rejection. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of pullback here, kind of creating this handle, and then a retest, trying to break through that overall neckline area and then trying to all-time highs, continue this rally here. I think that's what we're seeing in real time, guys, as we got that very nice movement. We came right back down to that strong support level. And like we predicted, we thought that it would hold up given how strong it was in the past, and that's exactly what it did. So it held up. We came up to the ceiling, kind of formed this resistance stemming from that movement right there. Price might do something like get really tight within the zone and squeeze up or down. but we do see a premature break to the downside. That's where sellers try to step in here. Investors are taking profits at this zone after a very drastic movement up. So that's what ultimately leads to this movement down. And now you see a premature break trying to push the stock even further down after that big rally. But buyers step in right when they have to step in once again, and that support holds up for us for another time. That really being a extremely strong support, and I'd argue the most important marker that we have as of more recent times. And we get led to this gap up and continuation, that being a very prominent move. We're talking about around a 50% move, give or take, to the ceiling back up to that 1542. And this is where we see that buyers had a little bit of trouble kind of breaking through that obvious resistance, as that was the last high. And we get pushed back down, very indecisive candle, a lot of back and forth, no true buyer or seller in control. We see a lot of back and forth here. You could be seeing something like this, right? Creating a handle like effect, possibly pull back slightly more, chop around a bit, and retest those all-time highs. So we could see that price kind of chills out a little bit. We see a very volatile spike in volume after that movement. Could be drying up a little bit more, finding some sort of a chop range, and then going for that big move up. Or we could be seeing that move up a bit more prematurely, kind of like we've been seeing how we're obviously in a volatile phase right now after that gap up and continued break. The buyers really showing that they want to push the stock higher, but we do have some obvious resistance. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of chop here, guys, before that nice move up. But I do think we get that nice move up. We stand bullish on the stock, right? I think for the bears on the downside, look for a continued movement down, possibly testing the support levels of around that 1319 and that 1251. But I do think that ultimately for the bears, you'd be seeing a rejection here and then a further move down, kind of double topping in more recent times. This being the ultimate double top, but in more recent times, double top once again, and then from there, move down. But I do think that we get that break here, guys. I think we look very nice for APLD. All right, guys, trending to the hourly, we see that break of that zone. So this is the first time that sellers really try to get that movement down. We never get pushed onto the support up until this point right here. So real full closing candles under this support level. That's where you see that huge gap up, and then we see a little bit of a pullback, smaller pullback, but sellers do definitely try to step in here and correct that movement all the way down. Right around where that past resistance is, we see a lot of buying pressure, and that's what leads us back to a nice buyer move up, continuing this movement to that ceiling of around 1542. We do see that little bit of back and forth there, right? Buyers make their move up, sellers try to push them down. Very small pullback given that movement, and then we get another move up and attempt to break that ceiling. We cannot. Sellers get their move down as it makes sense, right? A little bit of a pullback after a strong resistance point. Strong buyer move up, and we see a smaller pullback currently, and now it looks like we are getting into a little bit of chop, or we could be making a move either to the upside or downside, as we saw here. Very reminiscent, right? Chop up, chop down, chop up, make a move. We see chop up, chop down, chop up. We're either going to possibly make a strong move to the upside, or sellers are going to try to bring us back down to the floor of this general structure, or we're going to see a little bit of different price action, kind of chopping sideways in a stair-step like pattern, as I do predict that we get a retest of that 1542. Possible break. If we do get rejected there, though, guys, look for the continued downside, as that would be a lot of momentum for the bears. But overall, guys, I like what I'm seeing here on APLD. I think we are in a pretty nice position for the buyers, and stock continues to prove that we are strong here. All right, guys, so that's all I got for you today. Let me know your price predictions in the comments below for APLD. What are you guys thinking for the long term as well as the short term? We remain bullish here on the channel. If you guys enjoyed and want to see more APLD content, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, trade smart, and I will see you all in the next one.